his future with the Panthers seem to be? Shut out after the Panthers traded for Baker Mayfield yesterday? Maybe. Carolina also, of course, has Sam Darnold still on the roster. Reportedly, no plans to trade him. So, Shannon, does this mean Cam's NFL future is over?
Well, I definitely believe Cam's time in Carolina is over. And it doesn't look good. Skip, he was on Ryan Clark's. I'm going to give Ryan Clark some love, his Pivot podcast.
Yep.
And he said that he entered into some effed up situations. Well, if he entered those situations, you remember how late that he signed with the New England Patriots. You remember how late he signed. The season was already going on when he signed with the Carolina Panthers. How is this not another effed up situation? He said he put himself in those effed up situations that he couldn't succeed in. So how is that any different now? He hasn't been in an OTA. He hasn't been in the mini camp. He's going to be a late arriving to training camp. So how is that not another effed up situation? And then, look, and he said, well, I don't want to make excuses, but that's what it sounds like. Because you knew that was the situation you were going into. You knew they had already had OTAs. You knew they had already had minicamp. You knew they were 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away from going to training camp. And you accepted that. So if you accept something, Skip, you can't then come back and say it was a bad situation. You put yourself in that situation, Skip.
Well, he said the New England situation was effed up,
Yeah.
yet he got a training camp. I don't know. What more could you ask for?
But I get it. He says, well, I'm going to the line, and I got, formations and sets and yada, 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 encourages, and I get all of that. But how would this situation that he would go into now be any different than those situations? He's going to get an even later start, Skip. So for me, and can Cam be a backup? I'm talking about Skip, go in, Cam, you the backup. It's hard, Skip. It's hard when you've been that guy. A lot of guys, Skip, if you're a starting quarterback and you're not an MVP level or something like that, you can get you another 6-7 years. You get a guy like a Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
Skip Fitzmagic coming there with a great backup and get his opportunity, boom, he go back to the bench. Or Josh McCown.
Yep.
Skip, Josh McCown played all those years as a backup.
He's pretty good as a backup.
But Skip, that's not Cam.
Yep.
When you've been Rookie of the Year, when you've been an MVP, when you've taken a team to the Super Bowl, Skip, it gets hard. Even Joe Flacco had to swallow some pride because Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl winning quarterback. But Joe Flacco didn't have the aura around him that Cam has. So it's going to be very, very difficult. Skip, I'm not saying that the door is completely closed on his NFL career, but it's close. I believe it's closer to being closed than it is being ajar. That's just me.
Yep. I got to go to closed. And I hate to say this publicly because I have always loved and admired Cam Newton because I'm attracted to rare and he's just flat out rare.
But I don't know if he possessed that now, Skip, with all the punishment that he's taking.
I'm talking about in the big picture.
Okay.
This was some special stuff that I'd never quite seen before. He is a huge man, as you know.
Yes.
He's a full 6'6". What we give him, 250?
250, yeah. Lean. I mean, he had abs. He was looking like that way back.
And big arm. It's hard to win an MVP in this league.
Yeah.
And he did that.
He did that.
And yet, in the end, his charisma, his magnetism, and his supreme self-confidence, which were his strength, became his weakness because he's so full of himself in a great way that it began to turn off other people in bad ways.
Correct.
And sometimes it set him apart from his team, and it was hard to be the leader when you're, in the end, you're more of a solo act than you are a team leader.
Right.
You're not one of the guys because you're just better than them, and you know it.
A lot of the antics that Cam Newton did after the game, they celebrate Joe Burrow for.
That's true.
Smoking cigarettes,
No, I agree.
cigars, and having the big chains on and having the shades.
That is true.
We kill Cam.
Bingo.
Or if Cam have a towel on, man, why Cam can't stand? And it happens. But and so, Cam created this persona, and you're like you said, maybe it's too much of a persona from some other team to take on, Skip. It's tough. And that's why I'm like, it's not. And How would the situation, again, Skip, I'm going to go back. How would a situation today in 2022 be any different than any situation in 2020 and 2021? Because he's getting a late start. He's going into another effed up situation where he's unfamiliar with the offense, and he's going to have to cram. And the thing that a quarterback, Skip, it's got to be like this here. I know everything. I know formations. I know where I'm protected. I know where I'm vulnerable. I know the coverage, and I know boom, 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 boom. If I have to think about any of the, I had a coach tell me all the time, Shannon, if you hesitate, you beat. He who hesitates is beat.
Yep.
That's the one position, Skip. You can't hesitate, or you take the shot Justin Fields took to the chin.
Yep.
So I just don't see a scenario out there right now. If we saw Baker Mayfield, Skip, it took him what? Here we are in July 6th.
Yep.
Before he got a job.
Well, Garoppolo's still sitting out there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Cam Newton was not born to be a backup quarterback in the National Football League. He's too good. He's too big. He's too real. He's too Cam to be a backup quarterback. And I will say, every time he does another podcast, you referred to Ryan Clark's, he inevitably says something that outrages half the people because that's who he is.
Yeah.
He just blurts.
Yes.
He says what's in his heart and on his mind. And I love that about him, but sometimes the owner of the team doesn't
the owner and
love
general managers might not necessarily like that.
They don't always love it. So the point was, he played a way that had a shelf life because he did what he was best at. He could throw the hell out of it.
Yes.
He could also run over people.
Right.
And he just said, yeah, I'll run over people. I'll never forget some of those big division battles against the Falcons. He's running
Saints.
over Falcons and Saints at the goal line, right?
Yes.
I'm saying, what are you doing, man? You're not going to last that long.
You got a shelf life, Skip.
Okay.
Any running back that runs to contact, runs to collision. Can you imagine a quarterback running to contact? You definitely, when you take that kind of punishment, the reason why Tom Brady and some of these other quarterbacks were able to last, Skip, they don't take those kind of hits. You can't make a living as a quarterback. I don't care how tough you are mentally, physically, or emotionally. You keep taking shots like that, trying to run over defensive linemen. And linebackers, it's cutting, okay, that's 6 games off your career. That's 12 games. Okay, you've taken 1 year off them because that's how many hits you've taken over the years. Cam took so many, I believe Cam took 2 great years off his career.
I agree. It reminds me, in a way, of my all-time most favorite athlete, Muhammad Ali, who I had a poster on my wall when I was in high school. You can only take so many shots. Man, and he took so many, especially from Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
That finally, you're just going to fail, man. And to me, Cam was the equivalent of Ali in football, where your body just says, I can't do this anymore. No mas. And in the end, like I campaigned a year ago, I'd like to see my Cowboys. Would he be the perfect backup quarterback to Dak? But Jerry's not going to do that.
No, hell no.
He's just not going to do it. He's too big. The aura is too huge. And people would be fearful he's going to start making waves because he knows he belongs out there.
Right.
He's a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and the thing is, Skip, and he said also on Ryan's podcast, he said that, I know they're not 32, but Cam, at some point in time, you just can't base it on what you've done. You can't say, well, I've won an MVP. I was Rookie of the Year, so therefore that keeps me in the top 32 for perpetuity. No, you got to prove in pro sports, you have to update that resume. So you got to prove that you're one of the best 32. You can't just say it because of what you've done. I need to see it. I got a short skip. I don't remember things like I used to. I need to see it. Now, in 2021, Cam was not one of the best 32. I'm sorry.
So in the end, big picture, if I look at his career, I love people who win at every level.
Yes.
And he had an issue at Florida, but he got signed by Florida when Florida was the top dog, man.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't Tebow there?
Tebow was there,
Yeah, okay. So he's signed by Florida, and he has an issue, and he winds up at Blinn Junior College. And all he does is put Blinn Junior College on his big shoulder pads and say, we're going to the national championship. And they went and won it.
Yes.
And then he transfers to Auburn. And what did they do?
In 1 year.
1 year, they won it all.
And I don't know if he had an offensive player. He might not have had an offensive player play more than a year in the NFL.
Agreed.
And he did that.
And then he went, and not only did he win the MVP in 2015, but he put that team on his shoulders and took him to the Super Bowl. And I know people blast him for the way he handled himself after the game. I had no problem with it because Von Miller just took the game over. They couldn't block him. They couldn't block him. They couldn't keep him off Cam Newton.
Right.
And he won the game sort of single-handedly.
Yeah.
He took Cam Newton, the MVP, right out of the game,
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
And Cam had a bad game. I got it. Peyton didn't have a very good game. He didn't have a much better game than Cam. In fact, I think Cam's QBR was better than Peyton's that day.
But the way the Broncos defense was playing that way, unless Cam Newton played MVP-level football, and it still was going to take a lot, that defense. I mean, you saw what they did. I mean, they held Tom Brady to 19 points.
Yep, I agree. If this is it for Cam Newton, I believe he's had an iconic run as a quarterback.
Career.
Iconic.
Yeah.
And I don't use that word very often. When I look at the body of work, all the way back to Blinn and Auburn and MVP and Super Bowl, right?
And there's nothing to be ashamed about with Cam's career.
Yeah. And does he have a future in our business? If he chose, he does. I think he's sensational at the microphone.
Yes.
You know, guys, he has a YouTube channel that's really good. He just bought a cigar bar in Atlanta. He's certainly is plenty busy.
Yeah, cigar. They got some great food. Oh, yeah, I go there all the time. When I go back.